What we decided is that we want to do a digital maturity assessment, and for that we invited a couple of fantastic strategy consultants. But at the end we quickly ended up with OMMAX for a very simple reason. It is both the combination of strategy advisory and operational excellence that for us is something pretty unique.
Christoph, it's great having you here. Thank you very much for coming.
Stefan, thanks a lot for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
You guys started a major digital transformation journey 4 years ago. And let us understand, was there a particular moment that started this journey? How did you come across developing your digital strategy for Tyrolit?
Well, you're right. This was not something that was an overnight decision or an accident, but it was rather an effect of COVID, I would say, where at one point we came to the conclusion that the success factors for B2 companies that have been valid for the past 100 years probably won't be the same in the future. We had a couple of digital initiatives running in various departments, but what we have been missing was a clear vision, a clear roadmap, a clear strategy, and an aligned approach to digital transformation. We have been very successful as a company. Tyrolit is more than 100 years old, and we are one of the leading abrasives manufacturer in the world. So we are a very successful company in our industry, but we do have a very traditional approach to sales. We knew that. And in the beginning, we thought improving our operational excellence is where we should focus our digital initiatives on. But we quickly realized that it's much more about how we interact with our customers and how we do business with our customers that will probably change in the future. And what we decided is that we want to do a strategy project, a digital maturity assessment. And for that, we invited a couple of fantastic strategy consultants. But at the end, we quickly ended up with OMMAX for a very simple reason. It is both the combination of strategy advisory and operational excellence that for us is something pretty unique and which is very hard to find on the market. And now we are working together for almost 4 years, like you said, and OMMAX is, for us, it's a one-stop shop for digital transformation, and it's fantastic having you guys as part of our team and going through this journey together. Thanks a lot.
That sounds fascinating. Thank you very much. And Christoph, when you say you started this big digital transformation project, maybe also for the audience, in terms of priorities, were there special priorities where you said, let's focus on this first and then after?
Well, actually, we had a very open approach to what we want to do. If you talk about digital transformation, it's a huge word, and you need to be very careful with what we expect. And we knew that the multiple initiatives that we already had in our organization, somehow we needed to combine them. So the core idea at the start actually was to establish different work streams and work in parallel on them. Give an example. One of the work streams was establishing a direct-to-consumer e-commerce channel for various tradable products that we have in our portfolio, because our main sales focus was field sales. So we wanted to establish another sales channel. That was a very strong focus we had in the beginning. Another focus was the idea to establish digital customer acquisition to win new customers for our existing sales organization. So those are two business-driven strategies that we had. But there are other work streams that we established, one being increase in data consistency, and merging data from different silos into one consistent ecosystem. This was basically the starting point. But to be honest, and this is probably one of the things that when you do a digital transformation program is very important, you always need to adapt and be agile because things change. and you need to react to that. An example is this whole e-commerce workstream that we tried to establish, which we really believed had to have a huge potential on our business. It didn't turn out to be so successful for a very simple reason, because we immediately came into conflict with our existing distribution model. So what we did is we ramped this down, but instead we see that lead generation, which is much more familiar with our organizational approach to doing business, is something where our field sales realized, hey, this is really creating value. And so we massively scaled this up. And now I would say the original focus was probably 60% e-commerce, 40% lead gen. And now I would say it's 80% lead gen and 20% e-commerce.
Wow, it sounds like a really exciting journey. The way we think about this is in 3 dimensions. It's what you describe as business growth opportunities, reaching new target groups through digital channels. The other way that you touched on is everything around how can I make my business more efficient, everything around internal operational excellence, data, tech. And then you have the 3rd dimension, which is everything around the organization, the culture. You mentioned 100 years of family business tradition, which is a huge asset. But at the same time, if you want to drive change and innovation, it can create also challenges. My question in this context around technology, were there special technology tools in the areas that you were overseeing that helped you to transform, to accelerate this change?
Absolutely, yes. I want to add maybe a personal judgment of the whole program, because when we started this, there were always a lot of expectations when you talk about digital transformation, and the majority of these expectations either comes from top, you're talking about top line growth, or they come from the bottom when you're talking about efficiencies. When we started the program, my idea was that it will probably be, let's say, 50% implementation of new technology, and the other 50% will be change management. I absolutely agree. I have a background in communications, and I know communication is the key to the success for any kind of transformation program. I absolutely agree. I have to admit that reality has changed my judgment a little bit. It was not 50% tech, 50% communications. In fact, it was probably 60% legacy, 20% tech, and 20% communications, simply because we are a company that is over 100 years old, and we already had an extensive tech stack, which is mainly created around the SAP ecosystem with all its adjacent systems, be it an SAP Analytics Cloud, be it the C4C as a CRM. So we had a tech setup in place. And our biggest challenge probably was finding ways how we can work very agile on one side, and on the other side, still somehow find a way to integrate in our existing tech stack without making projects, IT projects that take months or years to implement. And for that reason, we looked at various MarTech tools that help us integrate seamlessly in our existing tech stack, but are in the ownership of the digital business unit. And I'll give you 2 examples. One example is HubSpot, which is a fantastic system for this whole digital customer acquisition path. We also use HubSpot for marketing automation, sending personalized emails to new and existing customers. So this is one system that we have created in addition to our existing CRM to avoid conflicts with the existing organization. Another example is Tableau, which is a fantastic system for data and analytics. So we implemented Tableau, and for the first time we have been able to really gain insights on customer behavior, on engagements, on all digital channels. They are bundled in Tableau, and we use Tableau as our system for everything that happens on a digital channel. And the reason we choose Tableau over other systems was probably because it's very easy to scale, it's very agile, and it suits our whole needs in a way, other systems just didn't.
Mm-hmm. It sounds super cool because technology seems like became an enabler for your business transformation and to achieve your business goals. How about, because I know you are a global business, you are a global leader in your industry, so it's not just Europe, it's also a lot US. And when you're thinking about the digital transformation program, can you elaborate a little bit how you internationalized the program, how you took it to other countries?
Yes, absolutely. I think the biggest learning when you do any kind of digital transformation initiatives is not to get lost in the process. I think there's a very high danger of getting lost if you're trying to do things at the same time and too many things at the same time. So the way we approach things mainly starts with, we have a, let's say, big vision, but we start with a small market to build a foundation of processes, of technology, and from there we try to scale fast. And the way we did it, we are an Austrian company, so our starting markets mainly are always Germany and Austria. We've built our new website, which is run on Ibexa as a DXB. And the website has become the core of our digital ecosystem. Around the website, we have established numerous processes and customer acquisition pipelines and performance marketing pipelines and account-based marketing pipelines. And we started it in Germany and Austria just to see how things go. And once you have a system in place and a structure in place that works, we try to scale it. And that's basically where we are standing at the moment. We have scaled to a couple of countries. Right now, we are massively investing in the US to expand our performance marketing and account-based marketing presence there. We are also entering India. Next year, I think we have approximately 30 markets in the pipeline that will be rolled out. And so far, things work. And I think for me, this is one of the biggest opportunities you have with the digital transformation program. If you have a setup which is up and running and in place, it is very easy to enter new markets very fast and in a scalable way. And for me, this is something that you cannot do with a traditional existing field sales force.
Yeah, no, totally right. And it's really cool to hear these advantages of digital, no? Because it gives you the chance to test markets without huge investment in establishing a local team in a traditional way. Christoph, before we end, one question I always love to ask is, if you were to start the same program again, let's say we go 4 years back in time with your expertise you have today, what would you do different?
That's a very good question, because probably I would do many things in a different way. I think I would be much clearer in defining expectations. I think this is one of the biggest problems. The expectations that we had 100% have been top-line impact. So we have seen the digital transformation program purely as a growth program. And I think this is a mistake. Because what I have seen is that you need to look at both sides. There is top-line growth, but it does not come as fast as you might think, especially if you are a very traditional organization. It's not a bad thing. It's not just us. I think changing the way an organization interacts with customers is very difficult because nobody likes change. And let's take the example of lead generation programs. You can create millions of leads It's much more important to change sales and the way sales thinks about handling leads and the opportunities that are created with leads than it is to simply create leads. And this change aspect in the existing organization is something that often gets underestimated. Another thing that often gets underestimated is the fact that I don't think digital transformation is only about growth. It's about staying competitive. We don't like to look at things that way many times, but I think if you don't invest in digital programs as an organization, you are putting existing business massively at risk. And we see it on multiple different aspects and sides that if we would not do what we are doing, it would be hard to maintain the existing level of business. So that would probably be one of my core learnings. I could continue probably for an hour because there had been a couple of them.
And lastly, because we have many business leaders in our ecosystem that probably face similar challenges or have similar journeys ahead of them, especially now in this time where digital can help you even to grow more efficiently than you did in the past. Do you have some advice to business leaders that start their journey today, which you are happy to share?
Make a plan. I think many companies, probably all companies at the moment, they try to use AI in their organization. All of the companies have multiple programs in place. I think it's essential to streamline them. You need a central team that takes ownership and responsibility for your digital initiatives. If you don't have that, chances are very high that you're doing the same things twice, 3 times, 4 times from different departments or divisions. So making a plan and having clear expectations and to know where you want to go would be my probably biggest advice.
Thank you very much. Christoph, lastly, a personal question. How do you manage work-life balance? Because it seems like all this 4 years of digital transformation, digital innovation in your organization also requires a lot of energy. How do you manage work-life balance?
I think the most important aspect is having a great team. And this might sound normal because everybody says you need a great team. When you do digital transformation, you need really special people with fantastic skills in order to manage these different aspects that you're facing each and every day. And I'm in luck, I have to say, so that I'm surrounded by super smart people that are doing a fantastic job, each and every one of them. Without that, it wouldn't be possible to run a program like this. And on the other side, we have massive buy-in from our owners. We have massive buy-in from our management board. And I think without these 2 factors, it would be hell of a trip. It still is, but I try to find my balance from time to time, thanks to the people I'm surrounded with.
Cool. Thank you very much, Christoph. It was a pleasure, and let's continue the journey.
Thanks a lot, Stefan. It's been a pleasure as well.